Sean McGowan for acoustic guitar. In this lesson, we're going to be working through an arrangement of Go Tell It on the Mountain. This song is an old gospel favorite that has since found its way into the Christmas repertoire. This song features an open-ended intro, so take your time with it. It's notated, but the notations are loose interpretations of things that you can play. For example, it starts off with some very basic chords with some blues lines. So subtle things that you can do is sliding into the notes. So for example, those little subtle articulations can really help bring your playing to life. So again, take your time with it and feel free with it. Now the song is in drop D tuning, so but it's in the key of G. And the reason why we put it in the drop D tuning is to get that open 1-5 sort of pedal shuffle feel with a bass line instead of playing it like. Now you can just play that G in the 5th fret and sort of rock it back and forth by simply using hammer-ons and pull-offs using your open D string. So it may take you a couple of minutes just to get used to those shapes with the drop D. For example, here's your G7 chord, and so forth. So this song is essentially a verse and a chorus. Since the refrain or the chorus is so famous, we've just opened that right up. So again, after a slightly long intro with some very gospel-influenced themes in there, we kick it off with a D7 sharp 5 chord. Go right into the refrain. Now this is a little bit of a stretch at first, so again, if this feels uncomfortable, just simply drop one of the notes in the voicings, preferably the D on the G string, and you can simply play G and B up top, and that's a comfortable 4-fret reach. And whenever there's a space in the melody, such as in the in bar 13 in the second half of that melody, you can, if you choose, to sort of rock back and forth between the G and the D pedal. So something like this. That kind of thing. And don't be afraid to let the bass go. It's okay, because the melody itself is so strong, particularly being supported by those triads, that it's okay to let the bass go for a couple of beats. Actually, it's quite nice, because when the bass comes back in on the second beat of bar 13, it's that much more powerful to hear that G. And then if you can get the G and D happening, that sets up the following D7 chord quite nicely. And you have that open D to just really round out that D7 chord with that low, that low register. And then in the last beat of bar 15, what we're doing is essentially using a quick grace note to slide in to the double stop A and C. It just brings it to life a little bit more if you can just quickly grab that or anticipate that with a slide. And then back to our triad. Now here we have a bass that walks up in 8th notes. This is a little tricky at first, but I'm looking at measure 17. We're in 3rd position, and here's our G chord. And if we were just playing the chords, it would be much easier to finger it here. That's all it is another inversion of that G triad. But since we're moving up the neck in our bass line, instead of playing a first inversion triad here, I'm playing it down here to facilitate the walking bass line up the neck, and finally playing this inversion of the C. Instead of there, we'll do it up here in 12th position to facilitate the bass line. So that whole measure is this. That's a little tricky at first, but essentially what you're doing is, from the G, you're going to quickly move up to 7th position, grab the triad, and then right into the open A string. That will buy you a little bit of time to get into 9th position, and then on the next beat. So essentially we have a C chord. There's a little bit of stretch involved, so if that triad is too much for these 3 fingers, just play these 2 notes. And then we'll finish off with a G triad. over a D, G7 into the G, and then back down to third position. So in this song, you're moving around positions quite a bit, but once you get them smoothly, it sounds really nice. Then we move into the verse, and there are two verses in this song, and they're both pretty much the same. And again, in the melody, whenever the melody is sustained, and you're able to, just simply hammer on and pull off between those G's and D's. So the first part of the verse is, you know, in that case, the melody is sustaining the rest of the bar. So to keep the time moving, particularly when you're playing solo guitar, there's no drummer or inherent rhythm anywhere. It's important to keep the shuffle flow moving by, you know, again, rocking between the D and the G notes. Then there's also a short interlude. This song is so brief in and of itself, thought it might be fun to add a little solo in there. So the first part of the solo just explores some triads over a G note. That's kind of a nice little move approaching the 4 chord. We have a half step approach, B7 moving up into a C7. Then we move through some more chords, and finally the trickiest part of this solo is the counterpoint line in measure 34. You have a bass line that's moving up, and then kind of a bluesy line moving down in the top voice. So take them really, really slowly when you're practicing them at first. But you'll notice for the most part in the bass line, I'm doing almost the entire bass line with the first finger. So it's almost like, and then the middle finger. And you may even want to isolate note combinations. You know, you could pick out any 2 notes and just practice those over and over again, such as the first 2 notes. And then maybe the first 3 notes. Then add another note. On the and of beat 2, this is the hard part. We're switching, now the middle finger's in the bass, and the pinky goes right to that melody note, followed by the 2 Ds. So maybe work on those 5 notes for a while. Then you're off for the C triad, back home to G. And also you'll notice when I play the G7, again, a subtle articulation, but one that's really effective, is instead of just playing this G7, to pluck it and then do a quick hammer on onto the 4th fret G string. So you're actually plucking a G minor 7, but hammering onto that B natural on the 4th fret G string. And little subtle effects like that can really bring your arrangement to life. And they suit the gospel flavor of this song quite well. So here is Go Tell It on the Mountain. And that was Go Tell It on the Mountain. For acoustic guitar, I'm Sean McGowan.